Welcome into another edition of Sport Ball with Squam, Stogie, and Skulldog. I'm your boy Sam. With me, as always, are these two nefarious newts of Narnia. Couldn't think of another word. How you boys doing?
Hello. Doing well.
Great.
We had a little holiday hiatus, you might say. We're back, and dare I say, better than ever.
Better than ever. New year, new
Feeling
me.
better than Vikings won their first playoff game, which is really all that we could have ever expected from them.
It's true.
I are the Saints' kryptonite. I've always said.
I'm Kyle's kryptonite in fantasy, so.
I think I beat you in basketball this last matchup, no?
Yeah, you did. Anyone else have anything to say?
I'm watching the end of this Raptors game.
Uh-huh.
It's a tie game with, well, now it's not telling me it's like 12 seconds left or something. Patrick McCaw just had a big turnover mistake. So now Portland has the ball, in case you're wondering.
I'm not. I thought you were distracted from the show to watch a sport game. I thought it would at least be the Celtics, but...
No.
Jesus, Son Whiteside has 7 blocks tonight.
That's for my fantasy team, baby. I thought we might start off the podcast with some witty banter about our personal lives, but you guys aren't interesting, so...
You thought we were interesting? Oh my God, they gave it to Carmelo, and he made it.
Wow, that is the most shocking thing I've heard. Well, I don't know if our listeners really need a play-by-play of a game that they don't care about. Maybe we should just move on. Anyone have anything to say that isn't Seth watching a game?
New year, new me, I said.
It's fucking disgusts me. All right.
I gave up bread.
Oh, that's true.
But the new year started just yesterday, so I'm doing good. 2 days deep.
What? It's the 7th.
Yeah, the new year starts on the first Monday of the year.
I see.
You don't start something in the middle of the week.
I've been looking at the wrong calendar.
Yeah.
I just noticed I'm looking at myself in the little Skype window and it just looks like I'm wearing a sweater underneath my tank top. I have such a perfect chest hairline.
Perfect.
Okay. It doesn't look like a sweater to me at all, but...
What does it look like to you? Something far more sinister?
Yeah, chest hair.
A mink coat.
Don't kill the minks. Kyle, you gave up bread, but you're still getting that bread, right?
Always.
That's what I like to hear.
Always getting bread.
Bring home the bacon fried in a pan. Let's stop fucking around, huh? This isn't... What is this? What is this podcast, huh? I mean, what are we really doing here?
Ball.
Sport ball. The sport of the day is the NFL. We're going to preview the divisional round. We're recording this, Tuesday, 8:24 p.m. Central Time. So if anything happens, it's not our fault. Although it never is. Let's just go through the 4 games, shall we, gang? Seth hasn't looked at me once in this podcast. He's just looking at his stupid game that doesn't matter.
There's 3 seconds
I can't stop
left.
staring at the HD version of ourselves.
Yeah, we blurred our background for this Skype video, and it looks incredible.
As a matter of fact, if you're listening right now on Apple or Spotify or whatever, turn it off and go right to YouTube.
I mean, we look incredible.
Absolutely fantastic.
It's like we put a Snapchat filter on ourselves.
Looking like a pair of thoughts.
All right, so let's go over the first game. I'm just going in order of when they happen. So the first one Saturday is going to be Vikings at Niners. Let's start talking about the Vikings. Seth, I know you talk about your improbable win this past weekend.
Well, improbable, but I knew it would happen from the start. Unlike you,
only put 3 confidence points on them.
Yeah, but at least I picked them. What's encouraging to me about the game is that we won even though Kirk Cousins didn't even really play that well. I mean, he's not a consistent quarterback, so I wasn't expecting him to play well. And he particularly normally doesn't perform well in big games. But we managed to win the game, even though it was a mediocre performance, I thought, from Kirk, with as per usual, numerous passes blocked at the line. It's honestly incredible, his ability to throw it to the opposing defensive lineman. I thought we did a good job running the ball. I know Kyle will probably speak to coaching gaffes by the Saints, and the way they managed their timeouts towards the end was rather perplexing. I will agree. But I thought we looked pretty good. The defense did very well against a high-powered Saints offense. I think Taysom Hill, much to Kyle's chagrin that they weren't using Michael Thomas more, I'd like to think that's because the Vikings defense focused on Michael Thomas and was able to slow him down a bit. And then they brought in Taysom Hill to kind of, we didn't really fully have an answer for him.
Slow Michael Thomas down by allowing him to catch 7 of 8 targets. They just didn't throw him the ball.
Well, maybe he was a target because it wasn't open.
Exactly.
That's also slowing him down.
He hasn't been stopped from having the ball thrown to him all year. I don't think Drew Brees was necessarily fully healthy in that game. He didn't look right, but
I didn't mean to interject. He's not as good anymore, honestly.
Yeah.
I just.
Anyways, so I obviously was very excited and encouraged by the game. I mean, it went into overtime, and we definitely got lucky with some things. But I thought Thielen looked like himself finally after many weeks of being off the field with the injury and then coming back but not really looking healthy, not being able to get open, dropping passes, which he never does. So I was really encouraged by that. Dalvin ran well. So obviously we'll be heavy underdogs against the 49ers.
Yeah, you guys are 7.5. The line's 7.5.
Yeah, and like I mentioned to you earlier, I'm kind of glad that we're playing the Niners personally, because much to the if we were, and I like the Seahawks, so I don't like it when we play them, because then I'm a little bit sad either way. I mean, I'd still cheer for the Vikings, but so anyways, I think I expect us to put up a good fight. I'll still pick them in our little confidence pool out of loyalty. But I don't know if objectively we have a legitimate. I mean, I think we have a chance to beat them, but it's unlikely.
Yeah, I gotta give Kirk a little credit, because I definitely have had my problems with him, especially the fact that he throws into the opposing line 1/5 of the time. But I mean, he had a pretty good year, at least stats wise. Like, he threw for over 3,500 yards, completed 69% of his passes, and we threw 6 interceptions the whole year. And while some of the deeper stats reveal that he's not that great, obviously we know he's not a elite quarterback. But we always rag on him for not winning big games and for choking in the clutch. But here was the biggest game he's ever played in, and he made the biggest throw of the game, deep pass to Thielen, and it was a perfect pass.
Yeah.
So I don't know what more we can ask from him, really. I mean, it's not like he had this sudden awakening and he's now like a great quarterback. But I mean, we ragged on him for not winning big games because he hasn't, and he stepped up in this one. Then he made the biggest throw, so got handed to him there at least. I don't think they won because of him, but they certainly didn't, lose because of him. So
right, and I think there are games that he's played where they did win because of Kirk, and that when he's really on his A game, he can be great. So it's encouraging that, I don't think the chances are good that he has one of those incredible games against the 49ers this week, but at least there's a chance that I know that wasn't like the very best that we could play, and we eked out an overtime win against the Saints. Like, I think the Vikings are capable of playing better. I just don't think that's probably that likely, because the mark of a great quarterback is that they play great all the time, and Kirk doesn't do that. So who's to say?
And I mean, the real issue with Kirk is that he's a mediocre quarterback, which would be fine, except he's getting paid 3 years, $84 million, right? So he's not getting paid like a mediocre quarterback.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why we rag on him more than others. But he made one big throw and they won the game. So Kyle, care to win?
I think
hate the Vikings, hate Kirk.
Obviously, I didn't know really what the health of Dalvin Cook was going to be. And he came out looking fully healthy. So I guess that, 2 weeks off at the end of the season, while it cost them a first-round bye, basically, it allowed Dalvin to come into the playoffs, what looks like fully healthy, which obviously was huge for them. I mean, he had 28 rush attempts to Kirk's 31 or whatever pass attempts. So, I mean, with the Vikings, they're just going to pound the ball on the ground. I mean, when you have one of the best running backs in the NFL and a very conservative head coach, that's what happens. Honestly, I think the game was more lost on the Saints' play calling and really weird usage of game management at the end of the game. As you mentioned before, like, they had the option before the 2-minute warning. They wasted 2 timeouts trying to get the Vikings to kick them the ball. They stopped them on their 3rd down, and instead of taking their timeout before the 2-minute warning, just allow the clock to go down like 15 seconds. So that's a waste of 15 seconds right there to save a timeout, which they didn't use as they're driving down the field with 40 seconds left when they convert to get into field goal range to stop the clock with, 40 or 30-something seconds left to take 3 shots at the end zone to try to win the game. Instead, they took a delay of game penalty where they could have used
the timeout.
That timeout.
Yeah.
And they would have had 21 seconds.
10-second runoff.
Yeah, I don't understand
what the hell happened in that game. Like, they basically said, okay, well, the way it looked like was they're just not going to try to score and hope that their kicker can hit a, 45-yard field goal.
It was a 49-yard field goal. First of all, they should have been looking to score a touchdown.
That's what
they could have easily done. And there was 21 seconds left. They're like, hey, do you want a timeout or a 10-second runoff? And they're like, oh, we'll take the 10-second runoff. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. 21 seconds, no matter what play you run, you can still spike it for a field goal after that. Like, it just made no sense.
So,
I agree
very, very weird game by the Saints overall. Like I said, their lack of usage of Michael Thomas was extremely strange. Like, I'm trying to see here. It doesn't have it. I don't think he saw less than double-digit targets more than one other game this entire season. I don't think he's caught less than 12 passes a game more than twice.
You're just pulling his numbers out of nowhere.
No, I was looking at him earlier.
Okay.
You can pull it up if you want right now. But,
I want some in-podcast research.
Yeah, I'll look it up after this. But just the fact that the Vikings have shown to have a vulnerable secondary all year, I don't understand the lack of usage of the best wide receiver in all of football. Makes no sense.
Yeah, I feel like
they deserve to lose the way they played.
I feel like a lot of people are blaming the lack of offensive pass interference called on the last play, which, Kyle, I know you were lamenting, but I didn't really think. I can understand why you would call it, but I'm fine with them not calling it. Like, I don't think it gets called that often. Like, maybe the letter of the law is that's offensive pass interference.
I think that gets called pretty often.
I disagree. And I think they were both hand fighting.
That was legitimate.
On a fade route, there's gonna be contact on a fade route.
Another thing that
the defender didn't turn around.
Wholeheartedly disagree with is a fade to the corner of the end zone is one of the most inefficient plays in all of football. And the fact that worked on an offensive pass interference.
I knew there
wasn't called on a team that a rule was put in to be able to challenge offensive pass interference because of them.
Well, the other thing too is they implemented that rule to challenge pass interference, and then pass interference never gets overturned. So there's no use.
The first time it got overturned this year was against the Saints.
Yeah, exactly. So that they're probably gonna get rid of that because that was stupid. That did not work out. But
It should have worked out, though.
Regardless of the pass interference, right? Like you said, the Saints didn't deserve to win that game. I mean, first of all, even if that was called, the Vikings would have had another chance to score. They let them get down to the goal line in the first place.
Yeah, but the Vikings having another chance to score, I could almost guarantee you would have meant the Dalvin Cook run right into a stacked box right there, like they did the first time. And then they had, a little pitch out to him on the second time.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
If they took a field goal, then the Saints would have had a chance to score.
Yeah.
Of course. But I'm agreeing with your point here, so there's no need to. I'm agreeing with your point that the Saints didn't deserve to win that game. I'm saying don't let the potential offensive pass interference distract you from the fact that the Saints lost the game that they should have been able to win. And that's happened multiple times. The same thing happened against the Rams, where everyone blamed the lack of pass interference when they blew that game 5 different ways.
No, I agree.
It's just...
Yeah, it was bad play calling all around. But to lose on another missed call, in my opinion, you don't know what would have happened if they would have called that, because they wouldn't have been on the goal line anymore.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
so I guess they probably would have been forced to throw again. So
probably. Another fade.
just the fact that they didn't even review it.
Well, that's the thing, because when they do review it, they never overturn it. So they need to figure something out with that. The rule doesn't make any sense. It's like, why put a rule in place if it's not going to do anything? And they knew they couldn't review it because it would be too hot, and they'd get even more killed for it.
I think the only thing with the rule was that it seems like in order to overturn, to call pass interference that wasn't initially called, or to overturn a pass interference that was called, it needed to be glaringly obvious.
That was glaringly obvious.
And so you've seen throughout the season a bunch of things. There are a bunch of times where I saw plays like, oh, that's definitely pass interference. We can see on the replay that the defender got there first, and then they don't overturn it because it wasn't as bad as the Rams Saints one last year, which I think is dumb. I think if you're going to review something, you should see if it's a foul, if it's a violation of the rules, and if it is, then you call it, right? Having this whole thing where it needs to be egregious doesn't really make sense, because then we're well, this one was probably technically pass interference, but although the NFL released a statement that it wasn't pass interference, that there was contact between both players on the play, and it wouldn't have been called. It shouldn't have been.
That's
called.
hysterical. So, I love that they do that too. And then during when you're watching the game on TV, and they have a rules expert that's an ex-referee comes in and says, that is blatant pass interference.
I think those guys, they get it wrong half the time. Half the time the guy on TV says something and then the call's the opposite. I'm well, who am I? If one ref...
yeah.
It's tough. I didn't think it was pass interference, but I could see why you would think it would be, and it's just...
Well, it was.
Officiating's a big mess in general. Let's talk about the Niners a little bit. They have... I think they're the best team in the NFC, which maybe is not a hot take since they're the number 1 seed, but I think by far the best team. Their defense is legit, and they have two really good offensive weapons in Kittle and Debo that I think are very dangerous. And I think one of my concerns earlier in the year was that I didn't think if they got behind, Jimmy could throw them back in the game, but he's done that a few times. They won that Saints game 48-46. He's shown he can win a shootout, and they can win a defensive battle too. So I don't like your chances in this game. I'm sorry, Seth. I think the Niners run away with it. But at this point, it's all gravy for you guys anyway.
Yeah, pretty much. All I asked for is a not heartbreaking loss. If we lose and it's respectable, we can hold our heads high. But if we lose on a missed 35-yard field goal or something, I'll be distraught.
Yeah, I think honestly that the Vikings get stomped, but this is such a
football,
their
baby,
defense is so good that I guess now that Thielen's healthy, it obviously helps Kirk in the passing game a lot more, but I'm not a believer in Kirk and never was. So, I mean, if he's going to get pressured a decent amount and Dalvin's not going to be able to effectively run, I don't have the faith in them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the X factor every game is how well Kirk is going to play that day. And I think San Francisco, the thing that's impressed me most about them this year is them and the Seahawks have shown an ability to win close games too. So I feel like even if it is close, which we'll get to later with the Seahawks, but I feel like even if it is close, like the Vikings are at a disadvantage, in the final 2 minutes of the game because San Francisco's really shown an ability to keep their composure and get defensive stops when they need to. Jimmy can make big throws in the biggest moments. So I think I think it's like a bit of a cause for concern for us where we could easily get blown out. And even if we do manage to stay in the game, I still don't have a lot of confidence in us in the final 2 minutes either. So we'll see how it goes.
It really brings a warm smile to my heart, Kyle, is that if you look at it, really all the favorites left have really strong running games. The Ravens are a run-first team. They average the most running yards since like the 1970s.
Yeah, but that's innovative running. It's not just handing it off to the running back. It's
the 49ers.
A lot of it has to do with one of the most versatile quarterbacks that we've ever seen in the NFL. So
49ers have 3 great running backs, all little speedsters.
Who Shanahan schemes effectively to get them in a better position than just running into a stacked box.
The Packers have Aaron Jones, the star of this league. Who am I missing? Seth, help me out here.
Tennessee.
The Seahawks and Marshawn Lynch and Travis Homer and their average of
just talking
1.1 yards.
You're talking favorites? I'm talking about all the favorites.
Oh, well.
The top seeds in both divisions.
Yeah.
In both conferences. I guess the Chiefs.
How much of that also had to do with the fact that being as good of a team they are and how good basically all their defenses are, they were up in games, so they were just able to hand the ball off to the running back, even though that's not my belief, but
it's against my principles.
It's like those stats that say if X's team runs the ball 20 times a game, they win 95% of them. Well, it's if you're winning, they're going to hand the ball off more, so therefore they're going to have more carries.
But I feel like all these teams have dynamic run games regardless of the score.
Well, I think maybe we can all agree that innovative run games are good things for NFL teams to have. I mean, I don't think Sam and I are advocating for teams to just like stack the box and run down the middle all the time. So
I hate that too. You know that. Well, also their favorite team, the team who's haggling right now, runs the ball more than anyone, really.
They also have one of the most efficient quarterbacks in all of football, and I think leads the league in expected points added for a quarterback, but right behind Lamar. Well,
let's use that to transition so you can gloat about your team. So next matchup is the Titans at the Ravens. Kyle, why don't you tell us? Why don't you take a victory lap for picking them against the Patriots?
I've beat the drum all year. The Patriots are frauds. They are who I thought they were, and it showed. The game didn't play out, honestly, though, exactly how I expected it to. I assumed Belichick would have just stacked the box every time and not let Henry run for 8+ yards per carry.
Yeah.
But instead, he decided, well, we'll let them run. Honestly, it wasn't even a bad defensive game. It did nearly work. Like, don't let them pass at all and let Henry beat you on the ground. And you saw they only scored 2 touchdowns. So, right. I mean, that kind of is for my case in that running games are a lot less efficient than you could say it was efficient, right?
I mean, they held the ball longer.
Something, yeah.
But you're not going to score a lot of points, but you will have the ball longer, which kind of worked out for them.
And then, I mean, Tom Brady's just washed. So
it's like when you give a goat a bath, he's a washed goat.
Yes. with those slippery hooves and they can't stand on the side of mountains and shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you're a goat Sudsy, he's not gonna be standing on a mountain. Everyone knows that.
No.
Yeah,
I never liked a Sudsy Goat.
Yeah, I feel like we all kind of knew this was a possibility. Like this team, the Patriots just aren't that good this year, and they beat up on bad teams.
Yeah, and everyone was, oh my god, their defense. Oh my god, their defense. Right. After the first half of the season, their defense was still good, better than average for sure. But not they weren't having 2 pick sixes a game anymore.
Right.
It was just such an unsustainable thing that they had going on, especially against the level of competition they were playing early on. It was like, I'm just, glad that not glad that the Bears didn't make it, but glad to have hopped on the Titans bandwagon before they won the game. My hat I ordered a week before finally came in the mail. So from here on out, even against Baltimore, and I love Lamar so much and Harbaugh, but it's Titans up, baby.
Tighten up, baby.
Tighten up.
I mean, they're just a good team. There's no way around it. They're 9th in DVOA, which I love. They and honestly, we should have seen this coming. The Patriots, we knew on offense they didn't have enough weapons, right? They have Edelman who's dealing with an injury. They have no tight end threat now that Gronk is gone. N'Keal Harry isn't ready yet. Josh Gordon and Antonio Brown are both off their team for off the field things, and it's just. They just didn't have enough. We knew they couldn't score enough points to win. I mean, the Titans basically only scored 14 points, and yet they couldn't win. And but you got to give credit to the Titans too. I mean, they had a game plan and they stuck to it. Tannehill only threw for 80 yards, and they still won.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a lot of that was Vrabel seeing, if the Patriots are gonna, prevent the pass. You have the league's leading rusher. Let him run. I mean, the man ran for 100,000 yards in high school.
Dude, this guy, he's scary, dude. They should have highlighted him in high school, and he literally looks like he's I don't know, 3 feet taller than everyone else.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
It's stupid how good he is. The problem, the one thing that I don't understand, how don't you use him in the passing game?
Yeah.
You threw one pass to him just that game.
And he 20 yards easy.
20-something yards and should have been a touchdown.
Yeah.
He's been efficient like that all year, too, with these short dump-offs that aren't even designed for him, but he's just sitting there in the flat. I don't know how you don't scheme him more passes.
It is weird.
Instead, you have Deion Lewis coming in every so often.
Deion Washington never was a goat. Kyle, I know you love what Vrabel did with the clock there at the end, where he ran off a minute 45 by taking 3 false starts in a row.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
But that's dope.
The problem was it didn't. I know it worked because they won the game, but it didn't really work because the Patriots just drove right down and were where they punted from 2 plays later, and then Edelman just dropped a pass. So I think the problem would have become if the Patriots had scored there, then the Titans wouldn't have had enough time on the other end, which is the risk you take.
Yeah, that's the risk you take, and I think...
I don't want to be results-based, Kyle.
Showing, obviously, Vrabel had the belief in his defense that they could stop the Patriots, or, I don't want to say... If anything, it was going to be, like you said, the Patriots go down and score, and they don't have enough, or... I mean, they still have, the Titans still have, 3 timeouts too, so...
Well, the other thing is they know that the Patriots' offense isn't great. So if Edelman hadn't dropped that, I'm sure something else would have happened. I mean, they struggle so hard to manufacture points. So...
I'm just glad they're going.
To watch their offense try to move the ball down the field. And because Mr. Sudsy Goat is so washed... he needed everything to go right, and so something like Edelman dropping a pass was completely devastating to their offense, and
which it may not have been in years
and the
past.
Thing is, a lot of people keep talking about that, but I think there should be a little more talk about early on in the game when they were at the goal line and ran Sony 3 times up the middle instead of doing anything.
Awful play calling.
Yeah, it was the most predictable, worst thing you could have done. Even Fucking dude, you got the Sudsy Goat. Try a QB sneaky, slippery. He's one of the most effective at the goal line in that. I understand it was on the goal line as in 1 yard away and like an actual yard this time, not
a big boy yard,
half a yard or whatever, but anything besides just running Sony, who's been very ineffective all year long.
I don't understand how Sony is so bad.
He had an outlier season the year before. Like he fell into a bunch of touchdowns.
He didn't look good last year either.
No, he didn't, and he doesn't even get used in the passing game because he can't catch. So,
and the thing is, at this point in Brady's career, there were times in years past where you could surround him with a mediocre surrounding cast that he would still get it done, and that's just not going to be the case anymore, right? That's just not. He's just not going to be able to do with the cast that he has right now. You need to put great weapons around him at this point because he's not the top 3 quarterback anymore.
Yeah. He's just like anybody else.
He's just like you or me. Except he's got a supermodel wife and a several $1 million house. Other than that, no difference, I'd say. Although his hair has been coming back. Do you notice that? I might have to try that treatment.
He also kisses his kids on the lips.
I don't like that. That's weird.
Yeah, you and I don't do that.
Well, I kiss Bethany on the lips, but, I mean...
Bethany?
Who doesn't?
Do you think, 2 questions for you. Do you think the dynasty is over? Do you think Brady leaves?
No. I
No.
think the dynasty is over, but I don't think Brady leaves. Who do they have? You think that they're going to just, like nothing, turn the reins over to Jarrett Stidham, who wasn't even that great in the preseason? Or do you think that the rumblings that I keep seeing of the Patriots possibly trying to trade up, draft Tua, and let Brady be a mentor to Tua or whoever other quarterback they draft in the first round, let him do that for a year, and then...
I mean, that's what they tried to do with Jimmy, but Brady stayed too long and Jimmy got too good. So...
Yeah, I mean, there were so many articles that came out after that about how upset Belichick was about getting rid of Jimmy because, like, he was the heir to the throne.
It seems like he didn't want to, and Kraft made him because Brady didn't like him being around. So, I think that you can't really say the dynasty's over until Brady, Belichick, and Kraft are split up. Won't put anything past them, but it certainly doesn't seem like they're going to be in contention every year like they have been unless they really shore up some things.
I mean, I guess you can't say that the dynasty's over in the fact that they do get to play the Jets and the Dolphins two times each year, so that's a quarter of your season.
But the Bills are looking good in their division now, which is...
Yeah, I would put money on the Bills to win the division next year. I'd put money on the Dolphins to make the playoffs next year.
So y'all think he stays at least for another year?
Yeah, I think he does. I think he comes back, yeah.
Yeah, he'll be back.
I just can't...
Then again, they did just sell his house.
Yeah. I can't picture him in another uniform.
No.
What are the odds he goes to the Rams and just takes a big pay cut, but makes a bunch of money from endorsements and shit and lives out in LA and has...
I've heard that rumored. I've heard that the Chargers and the Rams talk
about...
No,
the Chargers doesn't make
maybe
sense.
I don't think the Rams make sense. Do you think McVay would rather have Brady than Goff?
Yes.
Probably.
A smart quarterback that can make a quick throw.
Goff is so bad.
I mean, Goff is bad, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like
I think it makes
it's all about the future.
I think it makes a lot of sense for the Chargers just because they don't have any fans.
Chargers don't make sense.
So if they wanted to, I don't know why Brady would want to go there, but they would want him just to get some revenue, you know?
Yeah.
Fuck Brady.
I think he stays
Fuck
with
the Patriots. So. Gives a shit.
Rip to the dynasty. What a run. Ravens, we know who they are. Lamar's scary, MVP of the league. They can, the Titans usually run teams down and fatigue them in the fourth quarter. Fatigue them. And the Ravens do the same thing. So I think we're looking at a low-scoring time of possession game, and I think the Ravens pull it out. But I don't think it's going to be a blowout.
I don't think it's low-scoring, and I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think each team scores more than 20.
Okay, sure.
And I think it's probably a one-score game.
Yeah. I think we're in the same boat.
I'm all Titans
thinking
up
like
here,
23-20
here on out, baby.
Tighten up, baby.
People are going to be surprised.
Well, I put in a bet for the Ravens to win the Super Bowl months back, so I'm rooting for them. But it would be interesting to see the Titans win for sure. So what do you think happens in this game?
I just feel like there's some magic brewing in the Music City.
I'm confident the Ravens will take this game. I think it could be close, but I would project them winning by at least 10.
Can't argue with that. Let's move on to the next game. Texans at Chiefs. I gotta say, the Texans are the worst team left in the playoffs. Is not particularly close.
They're terrible. They should have won.
Not a good football team.
Should not have.
They're
won.
19th in DVOA. 19th in DVOA. That's worse than half the league.
Good?
They're frauds, as I've said earlier on a podcast. Back when I was arguing for Oakland to make the playoffs. Those were simpler times for all of us.
Somehow they still had a chance come with the last week or two.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with this team is it's all Watson, right? I mean, the team around him is pretty bad. The Bills were the better team, and Watson just kind of pulled some magic out, which we all knew was a strong possibility, and that's how they were going to win. It's kind of funny watching Watson, especially as he's my fantasy quarterback, because he takes so many bad sacks. You know, a lot of them that are mostly his fault for holding the ball too long, and you're like, just get rid of the ball. But then some of those plays he turns into miracle plays, like the one that basically won the game for them. So you got to take the good with the bad.
Just speaking of Watson, with that being basically their whole team, I mean, DeAndre Hopkins obviously is really good. How would you rate the quarterbacks who are left in the playoffs just this year? Not like going forward, if you're starting a team, just the best quarterbacks this year.
I would say Lamar 1, Patty 2,
Russ 2.
Oh yeah, Russ. Well, is Patty fully healthy? I don't know.
There's a lot of great ones.
A lot of great ones. I think
Kirk is the worst.
Kirk is definitely the worst. Let's start at the bottom. That might be easier. I would go Kirk 8, Tannehill 7th.
Tannehill's much better than 7th.
Well, who's he better than?
Aaron Rodgers.
Okay. No.
We're just basing this off this season right now, right?
Yeah,
off of this season.
Still way better.
I don't think so.
Okay, so let's start at the top again. No one interrupt me this time, and then we can talk about my rankings after they're done. All right, ready? Okay. Lamar 1, Patty 2, Russell 3rd, Deshaun 4th, Aaron 5th, Tanny 6th. Wait, am I missing a quarterback? Who am I missing? Who have I not said?
Jimmy
yet?
And
Jimmy.
Aaron
Jimmy
Rodgers.
6th. Tanny 7th. Kirk 8th.
You're wrong. You're wildly.
I mean, the top 4 you could put in any order. I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Top 4?
Yeah, Patty, Lamar, Deshaun, and Russell are the best quarterbacks in the league. So what do you want me to say?
Yeah. I guess if you want to say that you can put them in any order, yes. That's not the order I would put them in.
But you could put them in any order.
Right. Your bottom half is completely wrong because 5 is definitely Tannehill. No. 6 is Jimmy. 7's Aaron. And 8's Kirk.
I think Kirk actually is 9, despite there only being 18. Can we take Taysom Hill over him, even though he's got eliminated?
Fucking hate Taysom Hill. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is that great of a quarterback anymore, but
he still has some plays that are just incredible. I don't know. So, do you disagree with either of us?
I would think. I mean, I didn't watch a lot of Packers games this year, and I know they leaned heavily on the run game, and his stats weren't as good. I just gotta believe, based on the track record, that he's still better than Ryan Tannehill this year.
But he did say only this year, so track record doesn't matter.
Well, you still consider track record in your evaluation of how good they are right now.
I thought we were basing it off of this year.
I'm saying, how good are they right now at this moment in time? And how do you decide how good someone is based on prior performance? Am I crazy here?
Did he just switch to another language, or just me? Turn the subtitles back on.
Turn the subtitles.
I don't know. I think we're splitting hairs. Whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
Ryan Tannehill greater than Aaron Rodgers. You heard it here first.
I think
when they beat Baltimore, the world will know. AJ Brown's about to go crazy.
This is so
Dude.
classic, Kyle. Like,
What's a
this
podcast
is-
without a hot take?
you picked the fucking Magic to beat the Raptors in the first round of the playoffs last
They
year. and
won
the
the
championship.
second game and should have won the third at least. And at least I could take solace in the fact that they lost to the champions.
The Raptors are frauds. My real question is Will Fuller, the 14th, going to be healthy for this game? Because he's always questionable, and I feel like that makes a big difference for them. Because they have no run game, so it's really up to Hopkins and Fuller to control the ball for them.
They don't not have a run game. They just refuse to use one of the most efficient runners in the NFL since he's been in the league, and Duke Johnson.
Junior?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't really understand that. Their defense is fucking terrible. And
Worse.
the Chiefs are going to destroy them. They're 26 in DVOA, so.
And that's doing them a favor.
Yeah, I think so.
They're brutal.
Oh, JJ came back, so maybe that'll make a difference, but probably not.
Yeah, but he played only on like third down plays?
He was more of a clapper, more of a cheerer
really.
for the team.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think the Chiefs pull this game out. I feel like the Chiefs' defense is better than we think, too. I mean, they're second in DVOA in defense, which, as we know, is the end-all, be-all. And listen to these points in the last 6 games they gave up, okay? 17, 9, 16, 3, 3, 21. 21 was week 17, which didn't really matter. I mean,
those are all fairly
that's the part we're not really talking about,
What?
is that their defense has looked really, really good over the last 6 weeks.
The Chiefs might have one of the top 3 defenses, maybe top 3 defenses left out of all the teams.
So second in DVOA in the whole league, so I'd have to agree with you there.
I didn't even know that.
So is this a blowout?
I think this is the one
blowout.
blowout of the weekend.
I think
or at
this
least
will
the
be
biggest
my
blowout.
my most confidence
Yeah,
points on this.
agreed. Glad we talked that through. Is this
And
Also
last
the
game?
fact that they're using
in a playoff game.
DeAndre Hopkins as like
a short
a
route
yards
runner?
after catch guy. I don't understand why his average depth of target is like 1 yard maybe. I don't.
They almost pitch it to him.
Yeah, he's one of the best receivers in the league too, and they just decided to stop throwing him the ball downfield where he's really good at contested catches. Like
I know that's
we've
the thing.
seen it year in and year out, and now all of a sudden, I don't understand coaches, man. It makes no sense.
That's the other thing. Like Will Fuller is their only deep threat, it seems lately. So when he's
But
out,
he's not. He's the only one they use as one.
exactly, yeah.
Makes no sense. Kenny's good. I fucks with Kenny.
He's fine.
Stills, that is.
He's still getting it done. All right, last game.
Ayo.
That's a fake laugh, and I know it. Last game, Seahawks at Packers. This is the closest line of the weekend. I think the Packers are favored by 4. Honestly, the Seahawks won, and I feel worse about them almost because they barely beat a team who was missing their quarterback and their best 2 wide receivers and their best running back and 2 of their offensive linemen.
And most of their defensive players.
And they barely
That's
won.
how they do it, though. They gotta keep all games close because they're like now they're 10-1 in 1-score games. Like if it's a blowout, they don't feel good about it.
Right. They like to give the other team a chance,
Carroll sucks.
Every fucking Seahawks game is so weird.
It's because Pete Carroll sucks. He's fucking terrible.
Should we just have the Pete Carroll discussion now?
Probably.
There's really nothing I could say to convince you guys otherwise that he's, in your mind, he's good. But like you just said, you went into a game even before the Carson Wentz injury happened. This is a team that is one of the worst secondaries in the entire league. And one of the best offensive lines. And he came out and he tried to run the ball with Marshawn Lynch and Travis Homer.
Dude, Homer's ass.
Homer's terrible. Marshawn Lynch was sitting on a couch 2 weeks ago.
He's so fat.
He's fucking huge. He might be obese, actually. And they still ran the ball with both of them 24 times or something. for an average of 1.1 yards per carry.
Tough.
Well,
I mean, they have to run sometimes. They can't just pass every down.
That's fine. Russell Wilson made up for...
Russell Wilson.
What was it? 90, I think? 90 or 95% of the team's yards, whether it be rushing or passing yards, obviously.
I mean, obviously it's not Pete Carroll's fault that they're on their fourth string running back and had to pick up Marshawn Lynch off the street. Furthermore,
honestly, though, that's lucky for you and for the Seahawks because
they're passing more.
They were forced to pass the ball, which, like we've talked about, Russell Wilson is one of the best, most efficient passers in the league and has been since he came in. And Pete Carroll refuses to let him do that until the end of games when they're down and Russell has to lead a game-winning drive. And that makes
every time.
It makes Pete Carroll look like such a great coach because they win all these close games when it's like, if you weren't so reliant on running the football 55% of the time and ran it 40% of the time, you'd be blowing so many teams out of the water. He loves the fact that his team won in the final 2 minutes of a game or something. It's so weird.
He likes to keep it exciting. Well, first of all, I think we should bring up, I don't think Pete Carroll is actually the one calling the plays because they have Brian Schottenheimer as their offensive coordinator, and I'm assuming he's the primary play caller. So I don't know if you can really fault Pete Carroll for their play calling and running so much. I mean, I'm sure he's part of like devising the scheme of being a run-heavy team in general, but Brian Schottenheimer is the one who's actually calling the plays. And I think what we've heard from Pete Carroll and what I've like read and listened to on podcasts and stuff about the Seahawks is that the way that he's really good is creating like positive relationships between teammates. Why are you guys laughing?
Kyle's going to say a quote in a bit that's it's going to be funny.
Good. So I think he's a good like locker room coach. He's good at managing egos, getting the team to be on the same page. You don't see things like with my team where Stephon Diggs is pissed about not getting targets. You don't really see that happening on the Seahawks. And I think personally that the reason why they're able to execute so well in the final few minutes of the game has to do with that camaraderie and the closeness of the team, and that they all know that they're on the same page working towards the same goal, and about who's going to get the ball or what the egos are. I mean, if I were running the team or calling the plays, like I'm sure I would pass more with Russell as well. And I know like your whole argument about results, it is more about decision making than it is about the results. But I think when you see such positive results over such a long period of time, that's a pretty good indication that he's doing something right.
Let me jump in, Kyle, before you.
I was also going to say before that, though.
Let me jump.
I also think that he's just not a good game manager. I think we've seen it, numerous times with his lack of use of, timeouts, or the fact that he will never, for the life of him, try to convert a fourth down is one of the dumbest things. Like, it could be the fourth quarter with 8 minutes to play. Seahawks can have their 3 timeouts left, and they could be down a touchdown, and they'll be at like the 42-yard line or something, right? Fourth down. He'll kick a fucking punt. It makes no sense.
You punt a punt. You don't kick it.
Yeah, same difference. You know what I mean. He sucks.
Okay, so the thing is, they're 5-1 in close games this year, and you could say, okay, what is that? That's luck. But it's not luck when it's a trend. They always win close games. This happens every year, and we say, wow, the Seahawks got lucky again. They outdid their expectations. Every year, they do better than we expect. And I looked this up because I wanted to see like how often it happens. So, for instance, they're projected for 8.5 wins this year.
They won, 11?
They got 11, right? Last year they were projected for 8, and they got 10, right? And Pete Carroll's been there for 10 years. And 7 of those years they've been over their win expectancy, right? So each year they do better than expected, usually by like a couple, 2 or 3 wins. They made the playoffs every year since 2011, except one year where they had a lot of injuries, 2017, you might remember. And 2 of the times that they went over their expected win total, Russ wasn't even there yet. So I know we often say that, they win just because of Russ, and you certainly can't take
2
away
out of
that
how many
link.
seasons?
Out of 2.
No.
Before Russ got there.
Yeah. Russ has been in the league, what?
He's been there 8 years,
8 years
and Pete's
now?
been there 10. And, you can't unlink players. Like, you can't be like, it's hard to say, could Tom have won without Bill? Could Bill have won without Tom, right? And it's kind of similar here. But, I mean, the definition of a good coach is overperforming expectations, right? It's taking talent and making something better out of it than expected. And he does that year after year, almost every single year that he's been coaching them. So, whereas he may make perhaps some questionable decisions in game, I mean, this isn't just some luck that he wins close games and that he wins more games than expected. This is a trend for the entirety of his time at the Seahawks. So I just don't say how you could say he's a bad coach because of that.
So here's the thing with expected win totals, and I assume that's in reference to Vegas win totals.
Yeah, it was
Right.
the odds, yeah.
Right. The thing with that is Vegas isn't setting lines for teams that they think is going to be accurate. They're not saying, I think the Seahawks are for sure going to win, 8.5 games. They're setting lines in Vegas so that they can optimize their return. If they think they're going to set a line at 8.5, if, they're going to set something to make it look like, make it juicy for the public to bet on one side or the other.
Yeah, but they've probably been wrong most of these times then because people bet the over and they go over.
How do you know? Do you have the percentages that were placed on those bets on the over?
Well, okay.
That's something that would be interesting to me based on going back, the 10 years that he's coached. They've set it at this. He's gone over, however many years. Have they been having an influx of bets placed on the over based on it? I can't.
Yeah, but that's what people bet doesn't really matter, right? It's the
Well,
fact you can go a half game either way, whatever. Regardless of what the exact number is, they've outperformed expectations nearly every year he's been a
Vegas
coach.
Expectations.
And all of our expectations as well.
And like I just said,
No one
Vegas isn't
expected
expecting them to win that many games.
No one expected them to be this good this year, right? Who thought they would be 11-5 this year? Nobody. Maybe Seth, but that was probably it.
And again, if you want to talk about the close game thing this year, all their one-score games, if it goes even the other way half the time, they're not a 500 team.
I understand that, but it happens every year. Every year they win close games and outperform expectations. And we say, wow, how did that happen? Like, they didn't have that much talent. And a lot of it's because of Russ, of course.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. That's my thing.
But you can't discount Pete as well. The whole point
yes,
of
I
being
can
a good
because
coach,
they're put in these positions to be in one-score games because of the way he controls a game.
But the whole point
most of these games, I guarantee, wouldn't be one score if you had someone like a Harbaugh or a Kyle Shanahan or an Andy Reid calling these plays or being the coach. Like this, like I said, Pete Carroll, for some weird, odd reason, seems to enjoy the fact that his team has to come back or that his team only wins by one score. It's weird.
Well, you're saying that it wouldn't be one-score games if someone else was the coach. But they weren't even expected to be this close in this many games. So I feel like it's a trend by now that this team outperforms expectations regardless of its talent. And that's the definition of a good coach.
You have 2 out of 10 years to go off of that doesn't have Russ and that doesn't have him with a top-tier wide receiver as well.
Of course, Russ helps, obviously.
Yeah. I'm saying if you put him on another team in the NFL that doesn't have a talent like Russell Wilson at quarterback, or you do have someone good at quarterback but doesn't have anyone, like if he comes to the Bears, they're not doing better than they did this year.
You could say that about almost anyone. Bill Belichick didn't do anything on the Browns. I mean, would Bill have won anything without...
That's also one season, isn't it?
Would Bill have done anything without Brady? Who knows? We can't know that. I mean, like, you can't untie Russ and Pete, right? But they have succeeded together.
You know how good Russ is,
right?
Irregardless of what plays are being called.
Uh-huh.
So
you
can't say, well, I mean, yes, you have 2 years to say that they outperformed whatever Vegas had their projected wins at.
He said each of those words with such scorn.
Yeah, because like I said, I can't say like Vegas isn't projecting what they think is going to happen. Vegas is setting something so that they could maximize their profits.
Of course, but these numbers, it doesn't matter what the exact over-under is. What matters is that these numbers represent the expectations for their team based on their talent level, and Pete always
That's not what those numbers are saying.
That's basically what they say. I understand that they set the numbers so they can make money, but it's around where people's expectations for the team are.
I can go back and forth about Vegas all day long, but
they're not going to set a ridiculous number that's way off of what the team's expected to do. That's not going to happen.
If one of the reasons he's just fucking terrible is I was reading The Athletic earlier today, and I found a Pete Carroll article. Well, it was about the Seahawks, but also about Pete and his bond with Chris Carson. In here it says, it doesn't get more old school than Carroll, the elder statesman of NFL coaches with an offensive philosophy to match. There's no questioning whom Carroll sides with in this debate. To him, running backs matter. They always will. They don't. Then it goes on. Here's Carroll himself. It's right at the heart of the essence of what this game is all about. The whole idea in playing football is taking care of the football until you score. Best way, easiest way to do that is to hand the ball to your running back. So he goes on to say, the belief is deeply connected to Carroll's relationship with football. His formula for success, right here, is influenced by legendary coaches like Bud Grant, the longtime Vikings head man, who evaluated a coaching job by whether a team had a chance to win in the fourth quarter. His inspiration is somebody who just wanted a chance to win.
Just a chance.
And that's exactly what he's done his entire coaching career, is he's had a chance in the fourth quarter, and he got lucky to have one of the most efficient passers that we've seen on his team to lead these comebacks and win these one-score games. Because he decided to run the ball so much that, man, we have a chance. Fucking terrible philosophy, especially philosophy in the fact that the NFL is changing at, you could kind of say, at drastic paces to how the NBA switched so drastically to being a three-point dominant league. And he's just way behind on the curve and refuses to change anything about it. He's a terrible game manager. He doesn't set his team up to win. He sets them up to have a chance.
Well, they take that chance pretty often and win more than expected, so.
Because of the... Oh, my...
I do agree with you that, like Seth was saying, like, if I was coaching the team, I would not be running as often as he does. But, I mean, I can't fault him for being successful that way, so.
His success is cratered in Russell Wilson. Is crater the right word for that?
We'll take it.
So what
any thoughts on your favorite team? I think that, I don't know. It's funny because I feel like not all four favorites are going to win. That just never happens. But
right, the 49ers.
Maybe this is the game that the favorite doesn't win. I mean, the Packers are one of the worst 13-3 bye teams in memory in my recent memory. You know, I don't have much confidence in them at all. Yeah. But the Seahawks aren't very good either. But both of these teams have shown a penchant for winning ugly games and, dare I say, close games. So I really don't know how this is going to happen. I think the Packers squeak by, but I'm not sure. I wouldn't.
Yeah, I'll be picking the Seahawks, which obviously is a lot about my own bias, but I feel pretty good about this game. I think the Seahawks have beaten the Packers in the past. We'll see how good Aaron Rodgers is, if he still has it or not. Either way, I like Russell more. And, I just have kind of like you were talking about, Sam, with Deshaun Watson. Like, I just have a lot of confidence in Russell to be able to pull something out of his hat when it matters most. So,
but the thing is, I feel like Rodgers can do that too. You know, like I feel like these two teams are very similar in that, like, I like their quarterbacks a lot, and the rest of their teams I don't like as much. But
Aaron.
Are the Seahawks really gonna win like another game with fucking Homer as their running back and a fat Marshawn Lynch as their other running back?
Well, let me tell you, this report did come out today. Pete Carroll is planning on increasing the usage of Marshawn Lynch this game. So,
Jesus, the poor man's gonna have a heart palpitation.
Yeah, while he gained 7 yards on
healthy.
6 carries last week, including one run that was 5 yards.
So he gained 1 yard on the remaining 6?
Yes. Pete Carroll says, I think he's doing great. I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to see him do more. He's a fucking moron.
His teams always do better, though. That's the thing.
I like Marshawn.
I don't want either of them to win.
How many packs of gum do you think Pete goes through in this game?
How is he not? See, that's how bad of a coach he is. He can't even get a gum sponsorship. No one is known for anything more on the sidelines than Pete Carroll chewing gum, and he's not sponsored by the same gum he chews every game.
Yeah, what the hell?
Come on.
You think Extra can't throw in a few cash?
Marshawn Lynch got sponsored by Skittles. And Pete's been coaching longer than he's been playing, and he can't get a gum.
You can see, though, with how the two men look, how much better gum is for you than Skittles.
What kind of gum does he chew? I need to know. I'll find it out.
All right, find it out for us. Do you have a pick in this game? You hope it's a tie and both teams just give up.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm hoping for. Throw in the white flag and let the other two teams just play a second game. But since I don't think that will happen, I'm going to choose the Seahawks. I'm just.
Oh my god!
I'm just fucking with you guys. I'm going to choose the Packers.
All right, well, that was scintillating. I'm glad we got that out of our system about Pete.
That was nice.
It's been brewing for some time.
I feel rejuvenated.
He's fucking terrible.
People say we don't disagree on this podcast enough.
Yeah?
Well, this one was for them then.
Our one listener says that. Shout out to Matt.
Matt.
Oh my god.
What gum is it? What gum is it? Tell me.
For the most fucking vanilla coach in the fucking NFL, his favorite chewing gum is Original Bubble Yum. Be adventurous.
He doesn't even go with a mint. He goes with a bubble gum?
Yes.
That's disgusting. I can't imagine chewing a pack of bubble gum during a game.
He's a man of tradition, and he sticks to what he knows works for him.
He's a statesman of sorts.
Yeah.
An unwashed goat. A silent protector.
He sucks.
Well, I feel fulfilled.
Are we doing something after these games for the championship round, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Might as well, right?
Certainly.
I can't wait till it's all of the underdogs that we didn't pick.
It's going to be Vikings, Seahawks, Chiefs, Ravens. It's going to be great.
I just don't foresee a non-Chiefs Ravens championship round as it stands right now.
Well when it's Titans Chiefs.
I guess I'll be envisioning it. How do you think Pete Carroll would do with the Titans team? It would fit him pretty well.
That's honestly the one place he could probably go and also outperform his Vegas win totals by giving, like Derrick Henry would have locked up the rushing title with as many yards as he rushed for this year, probably by the 9th game. I hate that man.
All right, well, any parting words?
Tighten up.
Pete Carroll's my hero.
I love you, Russell.
On the 3rd day, he rose again.
Pete Carroll himself?